In this video, we want to talk about functions and function notation. We want to be able to define a function, evaluate a function using function notation, define a one-to-one function, and use the vertical line test to determine if a graph is the graph of a function. So when we start here, just as a warm-up, let's make sure that we can factor a polynomial like this. So in this particular case, we want two numbers that multiply to negative 24. So I like to make a list here. Negative 24, 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, 4 times 6. And I'm looking, because this is a negative, I'm looking for two numbers in the list that would subtract to give me negative 5. And in this particular case, that is negative 8 and positive 3. So since our coefficient is 1 here, we can just say x minus 8 and x plus 3. That is the factored form, and of course we can always multiply it out to make sure that we've done it correctly. Notice that this next one is an equation, so it's a little bit different. I still want to factor this. So again, two numbers that multiply to negative 14, 1 and 14, 2 and 7, and I want them to give me 5, so we're going to use positive 7 and negative 2. So when I multiply those together, I'll get a negative, and when I add them together, I get a positive 5. So this will factor as x plus 7 times x minus 2 equals 0, and then we use the zero product rule, which says we can set each factor equal to 0, because if you multiply two things together and one of them is 0, and the result is 0, then one of them has to be 0. And we get x equals negative 7 and x equals 2 for our solutions. So that's just kind of a warm-up. The difference between 1 and 2 is the first one just asks us to factor. It's not an equation, so there's nothing to solve. And the second one, we're actually set equal to 0, and we want to solve, which means find numerical values that when plugged back in will make the equation true. Okay, let's talk about a relation versus a function. So a relation can come as a diagram, an equation, or a list of ordered pairs that describes a relationship, that's why it's relation, between elements of sets such that each member of the first set, which is called the domain, corresponds to at least one member of the second set, which we call the range. So if we look at these three diagrams below, part A, P is related to M, Q is related to N, and R is related to N. So this is in fact a relation, as are these following two, because everything in the first set corresponds to at least one member in the second set. When we define a function is a relation, which is the domain and the range, that each member in the domain can only correspond to exactly one member of the range. So looking at these, R only corresponds to N, Q to N, and P to M. This one is a function here, this first one. The second one is also a function. Every x value, everything in the first set, which we call the domain, it corresponds to only one thing in the range. This one, on the other hand, the last one, is not a function. And it's not a function because in this particular case, Q corresponds to two different things in the range, and that makes it not a function. We could also see this as a set of ordered pairs. So when we look at a set of ordered pairs, we want to look at the x values and their corresponding y values. So every x has to have exactly one y. So only one y. So negative 6 corresponds to 36, and there's no other negative 6's there for x. 6 corresponds to 36, 3 to 9, negative 3 to 9, and 0 to 0. So in this particular case, we only have separate x values, so this is in fact a function. It's okay that, for example, negative 6 and 6 both go to 36. That would be like this first function here, the picture, that two different x values go to the same y value. That's okay. Here, on the other hand, we have a problem because 5 corresponds to 7 and negative 2. So that would be 5 going to two different things. And so this one is not a function. So we should be able to look at the set of ordered pairs or a diagram to see if it is a function. So when we talk about the domain or the input values, these are represented by x, and it's also called the independent variable. The output values, or the elements of the range, are going to be our dependent variable. So when you think about this, there are some times where your independent and dependent variable can interchange. For example, if you're considering the weight of a child, the weight increases as the child ages. So in this particular case, the age would determine the weight. So this would be our independent variable, and this would be our dependent variable. The weight depends on the age. In some cases, it doesn't matter which way you go. If you're talking about the money you make, the more hours you work, the more money you make. But it goes the other way as well. If you make more money, you must have worked more hours. So sometimes independent and dependent can be switched, but you have to decide which one depends on the other. For this example, we would like to know if the equation x squared plus y squared equal 1 represents a function with x as the input and y as the output. So we know that if we have an x value that goes to two different y values, then we do not have a function. In this case, if we let x equal 0, we can see that 0 squared plus y squared equals 1, or y squared equals 1. Y is plus or minus the square root of 1. So in this case, an x value of 0 corresponds to both 1 and minus 1. So this is not a function. Let's take a look at this one as well. Again, if we have one x value that corresponds to two different y values, then it will not be a function. So let's take this and also solve for y. So we're going to get minus 8y cubed equals minus x. I'll subtract x. In this case, I'll divide both sides by negative 1. And I'll get y cubed is x over 8. And then taking the cube root of both sides, we get x over 8. And when we're doing a cube root, we don't need to take both the positive or the negative. So we just get one answer here. So depending on what x is, I'm only going to get one y value, and this is a function. Now, how do we represent a function? Well, when y is a function of x, then we can replace the y with these f of x notation. And that's how we read it, f of x or f at x. So an ordered pair of, say, xy would be the same as the ordered pair x comma f of x. So your y value is your function. The nice thing about this is if we have a function f of x equals 5x plus 2, rather than me saying let x equal 1, what do you get? I can just say f of 1, and it tells me plug 1 into the function f, which is defined above, and we get 7. So I have 1 comma 7 as my ordered pair. Another way to tell if something is a function is to use the vertical line test. So when you have a vertical line that can cross the graph more than once, then it is not a function. So for example, if I have something that looks like this, and let me just say, I'll call this ordered pair 4, 2, and this one down here 4, negative 2. Because these lie on the same vertical line, and 4 goes to both 2 and negative 2, this is not a function. So we can use the vertical line test as long as I can't draw a line, a vertical line, through the graph that crosses more than one place, then it will be a function. So regardless of where I draw my vertical line here, I'm only going to cross once. So this is a function. Ask yourself if the following ones are functions using the vertical line test, and then pause the video and check your answers. So you should have gotten that the first three, B, C, and D, are not functions because they do not pass the vertical line test, and E and F are functions. F is a little tricky, but if you notice that this point is colored in and this point is open, that vertical line will only cross at that colored in point. So that is in fact a function. So when we have function notation, such as f of x equals x squared minus 3x minus 10, we can evaluate the function at different values by using function notation. So for example, f of 2 means plug 2 into the function. So that's 2 squared minus 3 times 2 minus 10. So 4 minus 6 minus 10, negative 12. So what we have here is if x is 2, y is negative 12. If we do f of negative 2, we'll get negative 2 squared minus 3 times negative 2 minus 10. That will give us 4 plus 6 minus 10, which is 0. So we have negative 2 comma 0. Now don't let this confuse you. If your input is not a number but a variable, you can still just plug that variable in, a squared minus 3 times a minus 10. We just can't simplify it any further. So we'll do that for these as well. If you'd like, you can pause your video and check them. For this last one, once we plug the a plus h in, we do need to multiply out the a plus h times itself. So we'll do that together. We'll get a squared for the outsides, insides, ah, outsides, ah, lasts, h squared. So just combining these two like terms, we get a squared 2ah plus h squared minus 3a minus 3h minus 10. just a quick note, f of a plus h is not the same as f of a plus h. These are different. This one says plug the a plus h in and simplify. This one says plug a in, like we did here on number 3, and then just add h to the end. Sometimes we want to know, not if I know the x value, what is the function value, but if I know the function value, what is the x value? So for example here, if we use x squared minus 3x minus 10 and I set it equal to 0, we can factor this. X minus 5 and x plus 2 will give us a negative 10 as a multiplication and a negative 3. So we'll get x minus 5 is 0 and x plus 2 is 0. And we get negative 5 and, positive 5 and negative 2. So in this particular case, we know 5, 0 and negative 2, 0 are ordered pairs. That concludes this video on function notation. Part 2 is next.